Welcome to another episode of Do You Really Know God? This episode is going to be about the mark of the beast. Figure with it being an interesting subject Devin came up with for this week. It actually kind of suits the times a little bit more as the times are coming near. So I'm going to start off with Galatians 6:17. Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirit to see whether they are from God. For many false prophets have gone out into the world. By this you know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ has come in flesh is from God, and every spirit that does not confess Jesus is not from God. This is the spirit of the AntiChrist, which you heard was coming and now is in the world already. Little children, you are from God and have overcome them. For he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. They are from the world, therefore they speak from the world, and the world listens to them. I think that's a pretty powerful one for this subject.
Yeah.
Because we've had so many episodes in talking about this day and times and everything going on. And he always talks about whether or not the rapture is close and near and all this. One thing that is a fact is they talk about in the Bible is the Antichrist.
Yeah.
People's like, oh, you gotta watch for the Antichrist when he's here and he comes. That's when the revelation's gonna the rapture is gonna happen. But what you don't realize is the Antichrist is already here. He's always been here. He's never left. He's been here for
Centuries. Yeah.
So, but he just takes into different forms as he goes through walking on Earth. One of the things, like I've always stated myself, I believe Hitler was one of them.
Well, I was actually speaking on that. I was reading Instagram post the other day, and I follow this page that I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it's a bunch of scary stories, and it's a bunch of kind of like haunting facts.
Yeah.
And so you see stuff all the time, like they'll show all these random pictures and stuff that would deem horrifying and give you kind of like a caption on it. But they had a post the other day, and it was just a picture of Hitler, and it had a quick rundown of how over the years, historians and what do the people call that study the Bible? Are they called theologians?
Yeah, theologians.
Theologians and all, those type of people look back on what the Bible says about the Antichrist.
Yeah.
And they say that Hitler fits the description
right
perfectly.
Well, here's the thing about the Antichrist, what they say. What they say in the Bible, and this is factual, and it's you got to think about it. What would you think of a person who's trying to take control over everybody? How would you do it? Well, one, you got to be a good-looking person.
Yeah.
You can't be all mean and like I could never take over the world. I know I got a speech issue, and I'm short, and I'm not ideal-looking human being.
Hitler was short too, wasn't he though?
Uh-huh.
Wasn't Hitler
I
short?
mean, he wasn't super tall, but I think he's like 5'10", 5'11". But the thing is he was fit. For the times, he's a good-looking man. He's a great speaker, which I am not. The Antichrist is a great speaker because people tend to listen to people who are good speakers.
Yeah.
And you can see it in politics today. With today's things. You got a guy who's running for president who's a great speaker, like Obama was back in the day. People vote for him just because of his speaking. I mean, he was not really the greatest president to ever go down. He was actually down on the bottom of the list. But people loved him and followed him, and they still love him and follow him to this day because the man can speak. He's a great speaker.
The Post was saying how a lot of people or a lot of theologians think that there is always an Antichrist.
There is at all times. And it's written right in the Bible that the Antichrist is always here. That means he's always here.
Right, and he's always trying to take over.
Different forms.
Exactly. He's always trying to take over. It's just whether or not he has succeeded yet. And they think that Hitler was the most recent example. That they could, you know, tell.
Hitler was right on. But like I said, Hitler was a great speaker, good-looking man, powerful man, and people followed Hitler. What Hitler said, people did. Well, whether it's good or bad, they said, okay, let's do it. Oh, you gotta go cut up my neighbor's head off? Let's go grab me the axe.
It's crazy because I don't speak German. Never have. Probably never will. But it was for junior year history, I believe it was. One of my teachers showed a Hitler speech. It was showed little segments. They didn't show the whole thing because he spoke for hours.
Yeah.
But it's just a little segment of a Hitler speech, and it's probably about 10 minutes just to, because we're doing World War II and it was trying to help us understand why people followed Hitler. I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't understand a word he said.
But you're ready to go fight for him.
If I didn't know that he was bad, I would have been right there, just because he had that kind of energy. Like in music, we call it, he has that stage presence.
Well, yeah, just like you have a lot. Like if you go to watch a lot of preachers, especially some of these not so good preachers on TV that's kind of taking everybody's money.
Yeah, the evangelists.
Or whatever, they're bad
TV evangelists, yeah.
But the thing is with them, if you watch them, they're great speakers because one, they know how to emphasize and they know how to put emotion into it. Two, they know how to change the tones of everything. And they know how to change your mood on just the way they speak to you.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you know what? You speak to a person just right, like anybody. If you know how to speak to them right, to get to the inner emotions and to build the emotions up, they're going to do anything you want them to do. Basically, because you'll hype them up. You can take, if you really know how to speak and how to get down into somebody's soul and what they want, you could teach a little tiny guy that has no legs and no arms to go fight Goliath.
Right.
You know?
Well, and, a little bit back on the topic of the beast, something I wanted to talk about with this topic was, because lately we've kind of, in a way, skewed from it, but the whole point of the podcast is to let everyone know misconceptions of religion. And one of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to the mark of the beast is, one, everyone thinks it's a physical mark. It may be, but it does not say.
It's some type of mark, but it's how blunt the mark is. And it does not say, or whatever, that you're born with the mark.
Right.
Man may put the mark on you. The beast himself may put the mark on you or in you.
Right.
Like there's a lot of talk about this microchip being a mark of the beast. It may very well be, because you got to think about it. The person on the thing, and I mean, this is just my hypothetical opinion, but the person who's pushing the microchip the most is Bill Gates. One, he's a very powerful man in the world. He's the richest man in the world, or if he was, he's not no more. But he's a very powerful man in the world. He has a lot of respect to people. He's a great speaker. And he's enforcing this microchip and trying to make it mandatory that everybody has to get it. So that could be misconceived or conceived, and maybe false, maybe it's true. That maybe he's the beast right now, and the mark he's giving you is the microchip.
Right. But Another misconception I want to bring up is a lot of people think that the mark of the beast is the mark of Cain, which they are two totally separate stories, two separate prophecies. The mark of Cain was actually given to Cain after he killed his brother Abel. If you do not know about Cain and Abel, now you can fact check me on this, but I'm pretty sure Cain and Abel were Adam and Eve's son.
Yes, they were.
And Adam and Eve had Cain and Abel, and Cain got jealous because of Abel, because Abel was a sheep herder, I believe, or not an animal herder, and Cain was a farmer. Well, because of their different situations, Abel was quote unquote more loved by God and more loved by his parents. And Cain got jealous and ended up killing him.
Yep.
And so that's where I have a verse right here, or I have a little story kind of here that jumps onto that. Which goes, after Cain killed his brother Abel, God declared to Cain, now you are under a curse and driven from the ground, which opens its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work on the ground, it will no longer yield crops for you. You are a restless wanderer on earth. Which pretty much God came to Cain, and God was actually calling for Abel. Because God, back in this time, came down and actually spoke with the humans on it.
Yeah.
And he came down calling Abel, and no one knew where he was. God couldn't find him, and so God came to Cain and said, hey, do you know where your brother is? And so God finds out that Cain killed Abel and said that to him, which pretty much just means you killed your brother, and now because his blood is spilled on the ground will open itself.
You'll never have a crop again.
It'll drink the blood of your brother, and eventually it will eat you as well. And that when you try to make crops again, you will never have another crop grow. And you'll have no purpose walking around on the earth.
Basically, Cain was one of the first.
He was the first murderer.
First murderer, but he's the first one that God basically condemned his soul to the earth.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, God has condemned a few people. Basically, you're stuck on this earth to the end of the earth.
Yep.
So you're not going to go to heaven. You're not going to go to hell. You're just going to wander aimlessly for all time until his planet explodes.
And in response, Cain lamented, my punishment is more than I can bear. Today you are driving me from the land, and I will be hidden from your presence. I will be a restless wanderer on earth, and whoever finds me will kill me. So God responded, not so. If anyone kills Cain, he will suffer vengeance 7 times over. Then the Lord put a mark on Cain so that no one who found Cain would kill him. And that's the end of that little kind of story I got as far as the mark of Cain, which is, and a lot of people have different ideas of what the mark of Cain is.
But the mark of Cain basically is not the mark of evil. It's actually the other way around. It's saying basically he's off limit.
Yeah, you
it's
can't
kill
kill
him. When you're in practice on a football field. You're in practice. Usually they give the quarterback a red flag or something, or a red yellow T-shirt, a shirt to go over his thing, because in practice you are not allowed to tackle him.
Exactly.
He's off limits.
One of my favorite shows, Supernatural, actually had there was a season where the mark of Cain was prevalent, and it was more like a scar for them. Dean, one of the main characters, actually found Cain and killed Cain, or defeated Cain, and because of that, he got the mark of Cain, and that drove him to go crazy and start killing a lot of people. Obviously, that is not biblically accurate as to what the Bible says the mark does.
Yeah.
The mark literally does nothing. It's just there to say, hey, I'm off limits. Back in the day, a lot of people thought that God turned Cain's skin black, and that's why there was a lot of segregation with black people, was because they were marked as different, and they were marked as a bad thing, which personally I don't believe to be true.
No.
But some people think it's like a scar. Some people think it's a total change in your looks. Some people think it's just like a tattoo or something. It all really depends. Now,
but here's the thing: back in the day, a lot of things were done with marks on your body. Back in the day, if you were an adulteress and you're female, you got marked the scarlet letter on you. Basically meaning you're adulteress, you're off limits to everybody. And they did it, they branded it in their girl's forehead.
Yeah.
So you couldn't miss it. Back in the old days, there's a lot of stuff of branding marks into people to know, so people could know what the people are capable of. And a lot of that came about because of the mark of Cain, because God is the first one to put a mark on a body to somebody, saying, hey, look, this guy was a murderer, he killed his brother, but he's off limit. You can't touch him. You can't revenge him.
Yep. And so I got Revelation 13, 16 through 17 in the New International Version of the Bible that talks about the mark of the beast, which goes, it also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of its name. So, as many people know, I'm sure, that the mark of the number of the beast is 666.
Yes.
And that's what's crazy to me with all this chip and all that. And actually, the reason I came up with this episode was I watched a podcast called The Joe Rogan Experience. If you guys don't know who Joe Rogan is, he's a comedian. He's a UFC commentator, but he has his own podcast. And he had Post Malone on as a guest. And his podcast is no specific topic. Like, they jumped from living in Utah to the paranormal to the chips, all kinds of stuff. They even talked about Kung Fu at one point. And so Joe Rogan and Post Malone, they started talking about the chips. And there's a company, and I think I mentioned this on the podcast a couple episodes ago, there was a company that actually forced their employees to get that chip. And that's how, and crazy enough, it was in their right hand. And with the chip, you went to the cafeteria, and that's how you bought your food. Instead of paying, you used your chip. That's how you got into the door. And, all kinds of stuff instead of security badges or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much, but the mark of the beast, the mark is out there. And I can honestly say I don't believe that the mark of the beast is all just one single mark. It's definitely not fully a mark of God. I do believe that there are some people born with a mark of the beast. There's stated known facts where people are born with the actual number 666, like a scar in their hairline.
And if you know anything about us, you know we don't believe in coincidences.
No, not at all. So they were born with that. To me, I think the mark of the beast can be a couple different things, and I see it a couple different ways. Because the beast himself, he has his own little angels and his own little warrior team, where the AntiChrist is walking the earth, but he has his helpers. And I believe he puts his helpers to be born from time to time to try and help him get into positions where he needs to be to try and get him in full control. And I think that's why, like, some people are born with the number 666 in their hairlines usually is where it's marked. and that's how his people are born. Then you got the other mark, the mark that God puts on people. There is the mark of the beast. It's not the mark of the beast, but it's the mark of God. And as people are actually born with certain markings, that you're an angel of God, and basically you're a warrior of God, angel for God. So you're on the side of good, and there's talked about in the Bible about that, people being born with certain marks, where they're almost like Jesus. They're holy right from birth, and they're actually an angel being born. And their job is basically to fight the AntiChrist. And
right.
They're basically like purpose. And then there's the mark, which I feel is the mark of the beast that they talk about a lot in Revelations. And they talk about it in many different places in the Bible. It's where man has to put the mark on the beast. It's where the Antichrist tries to force us to do certain things, like the chip, that basically marks us all. But it's also a mark that the holy church and the holy people have to find, because there's false prophets out there.
Right.
There's a lot of false prophets. And here's the thing. They are so good, they are so great at being a false prophet, that they're believable, and a lot of people believe them. And you got to kind of watch that, and you got to figure out what preacher is the actual prophet, or what one's got a false prophet. So us as humans, we got to try and figure that out. And part of figuring that out is by following the Holy Spirit, talking to God, following Jesus, following the Bible, and watching what they're preaching, because the false prophets never see Jesus as being born of the Son of God. They always ignore Jesus as being any more than a prophet. So if you have a preacher out there that's really preaching hard, but don't believe in Jesus Christ himself, he's not a prophet. He is far from a prophet. And it states that clearly in the Bible. What the actual mark of God is, nobody will ever know. You'll know when you see it. It says in the Bible, it was one of John's speech, but I don't remember what verse. It was in the book of John, where it says, he will look at the mark, and when he sees it, you will already know it's the mark of the beast. So whatever this mark of the beast is, it's something that when you see it, you're going to know what you're looking at.
Right.
It's not going to be hidden. It's going to be blatant. It's going to be something that you're going to notice right away. And that's why I feel that it's going to be something big. That's why I'm having a big thing about this chip, where I can see that as being part of the mark of the beast. Because the mark of the beast, or the beast, what we're trying to do is, the Antichrist is going to try and put the mark on us. Because once we get the mark on us, we're done. And just like in Revelations, God says, send the angels down and put a dot on all who can be saved. And then on the rest, put another mark for them to continue on earth with the 5 months of the mutant beetles biting them constantly.
The locusts.
The locusts. Still mutant. If you look at the way they describe it, it's half certain.
Oh yeah, definitely not something I want to be around.
And it has I love how it has a chainmail on and a knight's helmet.
Yeah.
So he's not playing around. He's coming in for battle.
One thing I found on Christianity.com is it's kind of who is the beast, because I guess there's multiple versions of the beast, and it says there are actually 3 beasts who make up what Thomas R. Schreiner calls the unholy trinity of monsters. One is a dragon, and another is Satan, who stands on the seashore, summoning another beast rising out of the sea. The one Satan summons behaves as a demonic ruler, but takes his orders from the evil one. The third member of the group claims to speak for God, but is a false prophet. He represents religious authority contrary to God's word and ways. He returns to life after a death blow, mimicking Christ's resurrection and lending credibility to his lies. Much of the world will worship this miraculous beast who enforces the power of the first beast, through economic discrimination. A fourth beast is mentioned. Perhaps John pictured this beast as Rome, still a powerful empire in the late first century. None of the beasts has ultimate control. However, God ordains what the beast does, and his judgment is his strange work, referenced in Isaiah 28:21. For the secret power of lawlessness is already at work, but the one who holds it back will continue to do so till he is taken out of the way. That was a Second Thessalonians 2:7.
Yeah. And basically what that's talking about is, you got the Antichrist. You definitely got the Antichrist. That's the devil himself. But then he has his three dragons, or three. Basically, I call them his three generals, his three leaders, his three prime demons that are going to be helping him in different situations. But he's obviously going to be the mastermind controlling the chaos. And then that fourth one comes into play, which has more power than the other three, but is still controlled by Satan. Now, the Antichrist, which is the beast, he's always at work. He's banished to Earth, so he's here no matter what, 24/7, and he's always working the angles. Like we already said, he's gonna be a good talker. It's already been pretty well. You can pretty much say that Hitler was the Antichrist. You can pretty much say Napoleon Hill was the Antichrist. And you know what? Some of these serial killers that's been throughout the years could be the Antichrist.
It's a possibility.
You look at Bundy. He was a very good talker, good-looking man, pretty powerful and smart in his way. He got away with a lot of murders, and
he almost didn't go down unless it was for his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend.
His girlfriend, rather.
I don't know if they were dating at the point or not, though.
Yeah, they were.
Were they?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, has nothing to do with the topic, but I am a strong movie lover. On Netflix, there's a movie called, what is it? Evil, Vile, and it's a movie about Ted Bundy. It's a great movie.
I've seen the Bundy Files.
No, it's
Netflix, or the Bundy movie.
It is. Let me look
I've
it
seen the
up.
Bundy movie.
Because actually, if you watch that now, like I said, I'm a movie lover, and if you watch this movie, it shows you just how much, how good of a talker I think Ted Bundy was. It's extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile. And if you watch this movie, it stars Zac Efron as Ted Bundy. And it pretty much shows the life of Ted Bundy from the point where he got out of college to his execution. But if you wanted to pit Ted Bundy as an Antichrist, this movie does the best job possible. Because if you watch it, you can see how,
Well, Ted Bundy, was a very smart man. He had his college degree in law.
He was
a lawyer. He was into politics. He he was well respected by many people. I mean, literally, he was following and helping the cops in the investigations to find himself.
Yeah.
That's how smart and how evil he was at the same time. Because basically, he would kill somebody, and he was right there with the cops as a lawyer, trying to give him ways to try and find himself. I don't know about you, but that's a little bit out there.
Well,
He also turned around. He was arrested.
Yeah.
Escaped from jail.
Yeah.
He managed to be on the run for quite a bit after that, and killed even more after that.
Well, the thing that's crazy about Ted Bundy and the argument that he possibly could have been an Antichrist is, if you look at what he did as a murderer, because the name of the movie is actually a quote from the real judge who sentenced him. He said, "Mr. Bundy, I find that your actions have been extremely wicked, evilly vile, or evilly shocking and vile, or whatever it was." And because the way Ted Bundy would do things was just so unheard of and so shockingly evil at the time. I mean, even now to this day, it would still be considered that. But back then, when things that bad never really happened to people, because now we got all these shows about people,
things
chopping
happen
people
to
up.
people, and probably just as bad. But the way Ted went about it, I mean, Ted Bundy had a body in the trunk of his car.
When
He got pulled over by a cop.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about you, but most people at that point are going to break down, and
the
cops are going to know that there's something off or whatever. He played it off like a normal traffic pull-over. Oh, I'm sorry, officer. I might get a light out. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but the worst part is Ted Bundy didn't have a specific target.
Mm-mm.
Like, most serial killers, they have, I'm targeting, like the Unabomber. He used to target people that were for technology.
Yeah.
He was very anti-technology, anti-government. So anyone in that kind of position, that's who he went after.
You got the Zodiac killer. He targeted young couples.
Yeah. Ted Bundy, he just, if you happen to be there and he felt like killing, sorry.
You're done.
And I was actually watching a YouTube video. This was probably back 2018, I think, where this guy, it was by BuzzFeed, this guy, his mom, they believe, was followed by Ted Bundy. I guess his mom, her friend, and I think there was one other person, went over to, was he near the Yellowstone Canyon? Or Yosemite, something like that? Up in that area. I think they skipped school, and they went to go back there, and they noticed this guy that they both said was fairly good looking. And he all of a sudden just started scoping them out. And the male left to go do something really quick, and the two females were sitting there, and all of a sudden they saw the guy start coming towards them. They got spooked. The guy got back, and they said, whatever's going on here is not a good situation. So they jumped in the car, and they started driving. Well, then the guy, who they presume was Ted Bundy, jumped into a tan beetle, or a yellow beetle.
That's where he drove.
And started chasing them. And then until finally they got him off their tail. And I guess a couple months later, it was the lady's cousin. They were sitting there watching the news. She was like, "Hey, turn on the news." They looked, and they started describing everything. And they're like, "We were followed by a serial killer."
Yep. So, I got a little off topic.
Just a little bit.
The mark of the beast. There is so many things. I was watching this it was like a documentary. This was years ago, by a great theologist with the Bible, and he was talking about a lot of the marks of the beast. Some of them are marks that you're born with. Now he's explaining like marks of the beast that you're born with. There's, like I just already said, there's two different ones. There's the one when you're in evil, and you're with the devil. Usually that mark is usually in your hairline, somewhere in your hairline, and it's usually like somebody, like what you do with a cow when you engrave them.
You brand
them.
Yeah.
It's like that, but it's the number 666, really small. And then there was the mark of God, which is almost the same type of thing of a branding, but it was out visible on your body, but it was a God, more of a God. And if I remember right, the ones that he was talking about that he's shown was more like, it looked like almost like a sun emblem.
Yeah.
And that meant that was like an angel that was fighting for the good. And with them, those are not, I don't feel my research with the Bible, I don't think those are the marks of the beast per se that the Bible talks about. I mean, I think that some of the marks of the beast, because it's the Antichrist, obviously, if somebody has 666 branded in their body, there's somebody that you got to keep your eye on because they're clearly evil. I think the mark of the beast is more, it's got to be the Antichrist creating it on us. So whoever it is, like kind of like what Hitler did. Hitler, when he's the Antichrist with the Jews, he actually branded them.
Yeah.
I forgot what the mark was that he put on them, but there's a couple different ones. They had a number. Actually, they tattooed a number on them.
Yeah.
They all had a tattooed number on them, and that was their number.
Yeah.
But he also did a brand on them. He did a branding.
Probably the Star of David or something.
I don't remember what the brand was. But that's going to be the mark of the devil, or the Antichrist, or the mark of the beast. It's going to be the Antichrist. When he's in human form and he starts getting in the right control, he's going to mock the people. And he's going to try to mock the people to make you stand aside or stand out. That is the purpose of the mark of the beast. He wants to know where his soldiers are going to be, or to where, basically make him a target. One of the things with the mark of the beast is it does not necessarily mean that you're gonna go to hell because of you got the mark of the beast. God is still working at that point trying to keep you safe.
Right.
But it's the Antichrist trying to label you out different from others. And it's trying to win you over. And here's the problem with the mark of the beast. We're going to welcome it. And that's one of the biggest problems with the mark of the beast. We're welcoming it. Similar to like what we got going on with society now.
I think society as a whole is not going to be educated biblically enough to know that it's a bad thing. And they're just going to be like, oh yeah, you know,
everybody else is doing it.
We'll use a chip for an example. Oh yeah, this new chip lets me pay I don't have to carry a wallet. I can just put my arm by the credit card reader and I'll be good.
And here's the deal is, our society, we're blind. And it's showing it so clearly this last year. With this whole mask thing and the vaccine, you gotta get vaccinated and people are not questioning it. They're walking in it. They're told, oh, you have to wear a mask? Okay, I'll wear a mask. Oh, you got a curfew? You gotta be in your house by 6 o'clock? I'm gonna be in my house by 6 o'clock. The problem with society nowadays is that someone speaks, everybody just listens.
Well, I think the biggest problem is now society is all just a big herd of sheep. following the wrong shepherd.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. It's what nobody's questioning. Everybody's just following like sheep.
Well, personally, and it's early for this, but I want this to be my comment section. What do you think the mark of the beast is going to be as far as not like it's a physical thing? I think it's going to be a tattoo of a pepperoni slice or something on your right finger. I think, me personally, I think the mark of the beast is going to be something to make life easier. Not that being a Christian makes your life harder, but I think it's going to be, because one of the biggest, or I think it's the second deadly sin, is gluttony.
Yeah.
Or being lazy.
Lazy.
And I think, like, for another example, the chip. If you are too lazy to carry a few credit cards around and put in your PIN, to the point where you just want to go up and go, here you go, skip, beep, and walk away. If you're that lazy, I think that's what the mark of the beast is going to be. Something to make life easier and people more lazy.
Well, now, here's the thing. And this is, I'm going to warn you all, okay? I'll tell you, I've been digging and watching everything going on. And the AntiChrist is working us right now. This whole mask thing, that's the AntiChrist. I don't care what anybody says. He's trying us with small things to see if we're going to follow. He's causing little things to happen and enforcing little things like the mask. People say, oh, I have to wear the mask or the cops are going to arrest me. They can't legally. The mask is not a written law in the Constitution.
Yep.
The mask is a requirement law by verbal speech. If by chance the police arrest you for not wearing a mask, you get a lawyer, you will fight it, you will win. Never just what when you win. Now you can sue the government and make money off of that if you did your research. But nobody did the research. I can honestly say since this whole pandemic stuff happens and they keep telling me I have to do, I have not done. I've yet been arrested. I've been out past curfew, yet been arrested. Haven't even been pulled over for speeding, but not for being out past curfew. I've yet to wear a mask. I've been in every store possible. I've yet to be kicked out of a store for not wearing a mask.
And as far as masks, me personally, if the store, like when I go to Walmart, I wear a mask. It's not because I follow. It's not because of this or that. It's just because a bunch of people are going to ask me why I'm wearing a mask and or why I'm not wearing a mask and I don't have a good enough reason. It's less of a...
I have a good reason, and nobody's ever asked me, but I'll tell you my good reason. Because I'm not a sheep. I'm not going to walk blindly so Satan can slay me. I'm just not going to do it. And to me, that's the starting point. I strongly believe, and I've been doing research, and I will debate with anybody on this, or on anything, any occasion. This is the AntiChrist slowly picking at us, because he wants to see how far he can push us. And then they're slowly doing that. They're slowly doing a bunch of different stuff to slowly get you used to following command. Once you're to that point of following command, Hitler did this in the early 1900s during World War II. He did not just all out become leader of Germany and say, okay, all Jews are being in the kennel. You're fried. He did not do that. He first got into command. His second order, he defunded the police. Sound familiar? Third, he kind of turned around and he took away people's guns and weapons and made it a weaponless country. Sounds another familiarity, I can't talk
Familiarity.
Familiarity, whatever. Anyways.
We tried to pronounce Massachusetts too much. It got us all confused.
And then that's when he started segregating people and separating people. Slowly, he separated people. He didn't just take all the Jews, he separated people. And then he started slowly taking the Jews. And then he started convincing the rest that Jews were bad. So they helped him. And what he did, he slowly trained society. And that's how the Antichrist works. He's not going to come in and just friggin', all right, follow me. I'm giving you Mark of the Beast. Let's go.
Everybody get in line.
Yeah, he's not doing that. He's slowly training our mind. And I watched this video. Actually, somebody sent me a video of a Russian KGB. I think I showed it to you. I think I might have sent it to you.
I don't think you sent it to me, but I remember you telling me about it.
Basically, this is back in the 80s. This Russian KGB actually escaped Russia and took refuge in America. And he wound up getting with a big reporter at the time and having an interview with that reporter. And he is talking about how the KGB and the Russian Empire, what they did, the Soviet Union Empire, is they slowly changed us. Little tiny changes for people. And by doing that, people got used to it, little bits, little baby steps. Changed this a little bit. People got used to it, changed it a little bit more. People got used to it. Before you knew it, people were unarmed. People basically had no choice but to listen because they had no defense. And they slowly did that. And he talked about that. And this is funny because this was back in the 80s on this interview. He said he escaped to America because he wanted out of all that chaos and the mind control that the Russians had.
Right.
And he said he escaped in the 70s from Russia. And he's been in America for 15 years at the time. And he said since he's been in America, since 1972 when he came in America, he says America was good. He said about the late 70s, he started seeing that happen in America. And at the time, this was like in 1988 when he did the interview, he said it's going full bore. He predicted, he said by 2000 to 2020, America is going to be mindless following the leaders to whatever the leaders say. Look at it, 2020. The government says, hey, you gotta wear a mask. Everybody goes, oh, good, let's go buy out the store your mask. And everybody's now wearing a mask today. What he said in 1988 in the interview, and he predicted the timeline, and he's right on it, and it's the truth. And like he even talked about it being, because he was, I think it was Stalin, was the leader of USSR at the time. Stalin was another one who was Stalin.
Right? Yeah.
He was another one who was a great speaker, a powerful man, and some people say that he was possibly an Antichrist. And
Stalin was back when Hitler was in it too, wasn't it?
Stalin was with Hitler, yeah, but he came out. Stalin, I think, lost his leadership like in the late 60s, early 70s.
Okay.
He was in power for a long time. But with Stalin, this KGB guy said that he believed that he was the Antichrist. And they've been talking about that. And he even said the Antichrist is coming to America next because it makes sense. It was funny because this was in 1988. This was when the Soviet Union was starting to collapse. We just started to collapse in the USSR. Yeah. And he even said then, he goes, Antichrist is in America. He says, they're slowly mind training you to follow orders because here's the deal. America is the last of the superpower. USSR falls and collapses. They're not going to be as powerful like America no more. Where at the time they were more powerful than America before they collapsed. Well, America is the last superpower. Where's the smart place for the Antichrist to go?
Well, and see,
America.
Here's one thing that I want people to realize is the devil and the Antichrist, they're not some stupid, little rugrat trying to make trouble. They are smart, decisive, and manipulative.
And have a plan.
I remember, I think I shared this on the podcast before, but in case I didn't, I was in my junior year, and we were doing website design in my class. And I remember my teacher, she told us to go on a website, which was literally just a website full of memes, and to try to break down its properties to see if we could make a website similar. Well, there's just one meme on it that I saw, and I thought it was kind of comical because in a way it makes sense. It kind of bashes Christianity in a sense, but it says, "Why should I be scared of a devil whose biggest trick is planting bones in the ground so people don't believe in God?" Talking about the dinosaur bones and how a lot of Christians, or some Christians, don't believe in evolution. They say that the bones they find are fake, right? Which I found it, amusing myself, because if you think about it, if your biggest trick is to hide some bones in dirt and hope it tricks people, you're not very smart. But that's not it. That's not how it is. The devil is and the AntiChrist are very strategic. They know what they're doing. They're those type of people where, like, Dad, one of our favorite family games is Risk. Dad, I think I've beaten him once in the game of Risk, and we've played it, what, a couple hundred times?
Yeah.
Dad is very strategic. He sits there. He knows what you're going to do before you do it. And a lot of chess players are like that as well. And even if you don't do what they think they're going to do, they still have 5 other plans to contradict yours. That's what the AntiChrist is like.
And you gotta think about the AntiChrist. You gotta think of it like a game. You can think of the Antichrist like a game, but a very smart gamer. In a game of Risk, the point is to defeat the world.
You're supposed to take over the world. You own
Now,
all the countries.
The dumb ones who try and win Risk, they go in there and they try and take Asia first. Because Asia, you win Asia, you get the most amount of armies right away, and you start building your armies quicker so you can take over more quicker.
Well,
But here's the deal.
Real quick, just so it for people who don't know how to play Risk, is you have a board in front of you that has a map of the world. And each continent has, certain amount of countries. And for every continent you collect, you get X amount more army to place per turn. You get 3 army per turn, and then for like North America, it's 5. So you get to place 8 down.
And here's the thing is, Asia, everybody who wants Asia,
you get 7.
Well, if the amateurs, they try and take Asia first. Because they see, oh, that's 7, I'm going to get 10 right away. I get Asia quick, I got this game beat. Here's the problem. Asia has the most amount of countries to defeat to get to that point.
Exactly.
In order for you to beat Asia, you're going to spend the entire game trying to gain the country or the continent. Where a smart player takes a smaller continent.
Like Australia.
South America. Australia is a good one to get. South America. Africa is a good one to get. Yeah, you only get 5 extra armies, so now you're only getting 8, you're not getting 10. But you get that 5 extra armies, say you get Africa, you get that 5 extra armies, now you're getting 8. Well, now you can take Brazil, South America. You take South America, that's another 5. Now you get, no, that's 3.
Yeah.
So now you're getting 11 pieces. Now you got 2 continents. Now you're starting to build. Now you protect your borders. A smart player will start protecting the borders at this point.
Yep.
Protect your borders, build up your borders, and then move into, say,
America. Or Europe.
Either America or Europe. Get the next smallest ones that you can get quickly. You get those places quickly, you basically build your armies quicker. So when you get to the fool that's trying to take over Asia, you wipe them out, and now you got the game beat. It's all about strategy. Now, the Antichrist, if you look at him, throughout the years, it's a known fact that the Antichrist has been here. Napoleon is said to be an Antichrist. I've read that on many different levels from many theologists.
Yeah.
Many different researchers feel that Napoleon Hill was Antichrist. Now, if you know anything about history, Napoleon Hill was the leader of France. At the time, France was the biggest and the most scariest army out there at the time. And
I'm sorry. It's just when you said Napoleon's last name, you always throw me off. Because when I think of Napoleon, even the emperor, I always think Napoleon Dynamite. And so when you said Napoleon Hill, I was like, don't you mean Dynamite? I was like, oh wait, nope. Never mind.
Anyways, they say that he was the Antichrist. What did he take over? The biggest, toughest army out there.
Yep.
Hitler, during the time of Germany, during the time of World War II, Germany was a very, very smart, very, very tough army.
Yeah.
Here it said Hitler was the Antichrist. Stalin, people say that he was an Antichrist. He was just never a full-formed Antichrist like Hitler did. But the Antichrist was trying to go through him, where he had a very powerful army too, and he's top of the world. For a while there, the USSR had America shaken. So the thing is like how I'm thinking and trying to think ahead. If I'm the Antichrist, I tried to take over Germany. Had it all going smooth until America jumped in. America kicked my butt. I tried to take over the USSR. Went in, everything. I collapsed because America butted in, kicked my butt. What would the obvious thing to do? Take over America. You make my presence in America. Get some power. Get some good talking.
And now no one can stop.
Get into power. You take over America, now you got the biggest army out there, or in the strongest army, and you got all this following. But here's the problem: America is a very Christian-based country. Problem is we're losing a lot of faith. The Antichrist has been taking a toll on America. You can see it out there just by looking at and talking to the people. You can tell that the Antichrist is winning right now in America. And that's one of the messages I want to get out for today. Is we can't let him win, because if he gets this country, the rapture is here. I'm going to tell you that. He gets America, the rapture is here. And I guarantee you it's coming. And I just pray and hope that you all are on the first load. Because I don't know about any of you. There's only a select few that are going to be the first gone. And they're going to go up. And most of it's going to be holy people. Preachers and
good preachers.
Yeah, good preachers, evangelists, and really, you got to be a saint to go on that first load.
Right.
The rest of us are going to be hitting the second load. The second load, you're going to be going through a year of torment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking torment like you've never seen. You think 2020 was bad. What's going to come down and what's coming down the road is going to make 2020 look like a friggin' walk on the beach.
Yeah.
I just hope and pray that we can overcome this, because I can see it right now. I don't think God has the rapture written in stone as of now. He's basically like the president with his finger on the nuke button saying, should I press it? Should I press it? Let's see what they're doing. Might have to press. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait. His finger's on the button. He's ready to push the button.
He's just waiting for the right moment.
Trying to see what we're doing. Here's the problem. Alright, here's the solution. Stop being a follower of the Antichrist. Stop following the government. Stop following all the minute little things. Stop thinking on your own. Be like our forefathers who took over this country from England back in the day. And let's think outside the box. Why must I wear a mask if the mask ain't helping? Why must I get a chip just because you want me to have a chip so you can follow me? You can already follow me by my cell phone. Why do I need a chip?
Well, and speaking of that, and speaking of predicting what I would do if I was the Antichrist, I don't know who it was. I mentioned it early days of the podcast, and you told me who it was, and you sent me the video. I don't know if I still have it, but if I don't, I'm going to need you to find that video because I'm putting a link in it. It's a broadcast from the 50s, I believe. A guy is that what it is?
Yeah.
Guy on the radio pretty much predicted what our life is like today. And he said, if I was the Antichrist, I would do this. And this is what would happen from it. And I would do this. I'm going to put a link to that video because it's honestly one of the most eye-opening things.
And it is. And here's what we're going to do. We need to take back our country. We need to take back Jesus. We need to hug Jesus. And we need to follow the Bible. And what we need to do is you lose our ways, because I even said this on a reference on Facebook the other day. We are right now just as bad, if not worse, than Sodom and Gomorrah was back when God said, you know what, you got to get done with your mouth.
Sodom and Gomorrah?
Sodom and Gomorrah. We are worse than they were. We need to get back on track as a nation for many different reasons. One, first and foremost, for your salvation, for your everlasting life, for your everlasting love, and two, for this nation to make it. Because I feel that when the rapture comes, I'm thinking America is going to be one of the hottest hits with the rapture. Because God's sick of our crap. I can't say I blame him. We've been the redheaded stepchild, kind of fighting everything that he says. We're doing opposite. We need to also get the Bible back out there. We need to, as Christians, quit hiding behind our masks and hiding in our room. And we need to get out there on our foot. We need to get back on foot out there and telling people about Jesus and telling people how to be saved. Because right now the Antichrist is winning in this country. I mean, we are sheep. We are fully sheep. Everybody's wearing the masks. The elections were completely 100% rigged to the point of obviousness, where you could see the obviousness rigged of the election. I mean, literally people came, 197 years old, came out of the grave to vote. If that ain't obvious and blunt that it is rigged, I don't know what is. And what are we doing as Americans? We're just turning a blind eye on, let it be, you know. So what? You know, it's only election. No, it is not only the elections. It is the future of our country. It's not just elections. We're being brainwashed to turn a blind eye to everything obvious. Right now, I swear to God, you could stand out on your road and a lightning bolt could come down and strike your neighbor dead right in front of you, 5 feet in front of you, and then somebody says, you didn't see that, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I didn't see that, and you walk away. No, you saw it. Bring it out to light. You need to take Jesus, you need to take Jesus back on the road with you. You need to talk to your neighbors. We need to get this country turned around and get God back in our schools. We need to get God back into our libraries. We need to get God back into the streets of this nation for this nation to survive.
Right. And, you know, this kind of, what I'm about to say goes back to my comment a little bit. Another thing I think that the mark of the beast is going to attack is not only our laziness, or I don't want to say attack, it's going to feed off of not only America and people today's laziness, but also their willingness to just do what everyone else is.
Yep. Stand out. Be out of the crowd. I'm telling you, I've yet to wear a mask yet. I have not got kicked out of one store. I haven't even had anybody question me about it. Not once. The only people that I see on Facebook are people being questioned by not having a mask, and I see it a few times on Facebook, is by liberals who I feel certain ones are with the Antichrist, and they're trying to create a stir. When they're trying to create a stir, they're trying to embarrass you enough to get you to stop following the way of the Antichrist. See, you don't understand is the Antichrist is not working in one person or one party. He's not working for the Democrats. He ain't working for the Republicans. He's working for himself. But what he's doing, he's targeting certain people that are weaker-minded that's going to follow suit. Unfortunately, in America, I can't say it's Democrats that are all following the suit. It's not. There's a lot of Republicans following the same suit. They're marching to the same tune as the Democrats. And here's the other thing, is the Antichrist is working strongly through the Democrats and like promising you, oh, you don't have to work, we'll feed you, we'll give you stimulus, we'll give you this, we'll give you that. Like Devin said, the devil wants you lazy. Okay, when you're lazy, you're going against the Bible. You're going against the Ten Commandments.
And when you're lazy, you're more willing to just do whatever anyone says.
Exactly. And he has you wrapped around his finger. We got to stop this business. We need to go out, because I don't know if anybody, how many people watch. I'm not a big TV watcher or whatever, but I get into certain shows time to time. Right now, I'm into the show 100, the 100. It's about a time after the World War III, after the nuclear war and all this, and there's very limited survivors on Earth and this, that, and the other, and it's about survival. This country is going to that right now. This country is moving to that point. Is if you want to see what life's going to be like if we let the Antichrist keep going, watch that show. It's what it's going to be like. Can you survive living in the jungle without any electricity, without any houses, no hot water, basically back like a caveman running through the woods, basically killing each other because you're fighting over a little piece of ground even though there's 500 miles of it, but you're all going to fight over the same mile because you don't got a car to drive to the other 500, so you don't feel like walking, so you're going to fight over this little piece of land. And you're going to kill each other, and there's going to be no laws, there's going to be lawlessness, and it's going to be survival of the fittest. That's where we're going, because when the rapture starts happening, it's not going to happen to where we disappear all at once. No, we're going to have years and years and years of torment. The rapture is not a one-day thing. The rapture is a multiple-year thing. It's going to go on and on and on and on for many, many, many years. And then after that, the good is going to leave. You're going to go to heaven. But never guess what? We're not all good. Not every one of us is going to go to heaven. So never guess what happens to the rest of us. We're stuck here for 1,000 years, living in the jungle, fighting each other for next 1,000 years, being tormented, tortured, beat, and everything else. Until God finally says enough is enough and ends it all, and then we're abolished. Your life is no longer existing. Because the only person who can kill our soul is God himself, and that is why he is the only one I will ever fear. So, with that being said, I guess I got to come up with my comments. That's been how you already did yours.
Well, I'll reinterpret mine in case someone forgot. Mine is pretty much, what do you think the Antichrist is going to kind of feed off of to make his mark?
Okay, my comment section is, what are you, as God-fearing, Jesus-following people, going to do to stop the Antichrist? I want to know what you're going to do. Who's going to stand behind me and all the other hardcore Christians who are up and ready to fight the Antichrist? Who's behind me? And what are you going to do to help fight this Antichrist?
I like that. That's a good one.
With that being said, I hope you guys have a great week.